Standing in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I saw cars passing by on the road, and I stood there in a daze for a few minutes. When I came to my senses, I felt a sigh of relief, as if a sword that had been hanging over my head had finally fallen, and I no longer had to worry. Sure enough, Lucas didn't show up again. This was the fourth time we had failed to get our certificate. After the previous 3 missed appointments, I actually had a feeling in my heart. I had a feeling in my heart that this time it definitely wouldn't go well. Sure enough, I waited for half an hour at the Civil Affairs Bureau, but Lucas still didn't show up. Just then, he called me. "Emily, I've fallen down the stairs." His voice was full of pain. What happened? I couldn't help but worry about him. He'd been in too much of a hurry to get the certificate, so he ran down the stairs too fast and fell. He explained, holding back the pain. "Does it hurt a lot? Is it serious?" "It's just a minor fracture, and I've already had it bandaged up." Lucas hesitated for a moment and said, "Emily, the doctor said I can't move for now, and I have to stay in the hospital for the day. I can't leave until my condition stabilizes." "It's okay." I quickly interrupted him and said, "Get better first, and you can get your certificate any time. Sorry to disappoint you." He sounded a little disappointed. "Accidents happen, and no one wants that to happen." I also told him, "I'll go visit you at the hospital later." "Don't worry," he quickly said, "I'm here with my cousin, and he's taking care of me." He said if there were no problems, he could go home in the afternoon. "It's not easy to get leave from work, so go back and take your leave." "Okay, got it." After hanging up the phone, I walked out alone. Failing to collect the certificate for the 4th time made me think a lot. Are Lucas and I destined not to get married? Or is it just that we're always just a little bit too far apart? But if it happened once or twice, I could consider it an accident. But this is the 4th time, and even I can't help but start to think seriously about it. Maybe it wasn't an accident before. Maybe Lucas just doesn't want to marry me. We started dating in high school, and we were together for 4 years in college. It's been 3 years since we graduated, and our relationship has always been very good. From the sweetness of being in love to the warmth of the present, our relationship has become closer and closer. In my sophomore year, after my parents died unexpectedly, I spent every holiday at Lucas's house. His parents have long regarded me as their future daughter-in-law and keep urging us to get married. In my heart, Lucas is not only my lover, but also my closest family member. He has long been part of my future plans. On my 25th birthday, I made a wish to get married. Lucas hugged me and whispered in my ear, "Okay, we'll get married, Emily, and I'll give you a home." However, after the birthday, Lucas never mentioned getting married again. He didn't make any moves towards marriage either, and I couldn't wait any longer. So I took the initiative and talked about marriage, saying that my biggest wish for the year was to start a family. There was no problem with the wedding home. Lucas had his own company and came from a good family. His parents had long ago bought him a new home. As for me, my parents had left me an inheritance after their death, including several houses. After we got married, we could just carry on living the way we had been living before, usually living in the city center, going back to his parents' place at the weekend, and going to the country house for a while during the holidays. As for the bride price, there's no need to consider that either. I'm the only one left in my family, and to me, Lucas is my family. There's no need to split up the money and property, because we're family, right? So, after graduating, Lucas didn't want to work for his father's company, but to start his own business. His parents didn't agree, but I would have no hesitation in using my own money to support him. I feel that supporting his ideals and helping him achieve his dreams is more important than the money. I don't have high materialistic aspirations. As long as I have a stable job, a car, a house, and a little savings, I'll be very happy. Our living conditions are much better than I could have imagined. The financial problems that many ordinary families may encounter are not a problem for us at all. I feel that after being in a relationship for so many years, it is only natural for us to get married. After all, we have been living together for many years, and we are like married couples. I told Lucas that it's okay if we don't have time for a wedding. Let's just get the certificate first. I need this sense of ritual to reassure me. Lucas readily agreed. We set a date to go and get the certificate together, but on the appointed day, Lucas didn't show up. At that time, he often stayed up late working overtime on a company project, and slept at the office. On the appointed day, I took half a day off and told him to meet me at the entrance to the Civil Affairs Bureau at 8 o'clock. But that morning, I waited until 9:30, and he called to say, "Emily, I'm sorry. The project was almost finished, but there was a problem with some data, and I had to solve it now." He sounded very anxious. I still had work to do in the afternoon, and I didn't think he could make it, so I understood. "It's okay, you go ahead. I have to get back to work. Let's make another appointment." When I got home that day, Lucas sincerely apologized again. I thought that the problem with the project wasn't his intention, so I decided to forgive him. After that, I was busy again, and my leader wouldn't approve any time off. More than a month later, I finally managed to take a day off. This time, Lucas volunteered to go and collect the certificate. He called me while he was on a business trip to tell me that he would get off the plane at 8:30 the next morning and a driver would take him directly to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I was so happy that I asked my boss for half a day off. While I was waiting at the Civil Affairs Bureau with great excitement, I got a call from him and had a bad feeling. Sure enough, something had happened again. His car had a minor collision with someone else on the road. Although the driver was driving, the car was registered in his name. The other party kept getting in the way, and he had to go to the traffic police to deal with the problem. That time, he was unable to pick up the certificate again. The third time they made an appointment to pick up the certificate, Lucas' mother had a stomachache and he took her to the hospital. By the time he arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, it was already 5:30 p.m., just after work. Seeing him in pain and blaming himself, I comforted him with a slightly bitter smile, saying that good things always require some trials. Today was the fourth time and I couldn't help but think, once some thoughts arise, they will continue to expand. Small details that were previously ignored are now beginning to surface. The first time, he said there was a problem with the project, but it was just something he said, and there was nothing to prove it. Because I completely trusted him, I didn't have the slightest doubt in what he said at the time. The second time there was a traffic accident. That night I asked him about it, and he casually said to let the insurance company handle it, and it had already been settled. The third time, her mother's stomach problem returned. I remember that day I went to visit my aunt at his house after work. My aunt seemed fine, chatting with me for a while before going to her room to rest. A few days later, at the weekend, my aunt took the initiative to invite me to go shopping together. That day, she wouldn't let me refuse, insisting on buying me a designer bag. Looking back, was she trying to compensate me because she felt uneasy? Because my aunt had helped her son deceive me. It made her feel uneasy, as she was always kind. And what about today? When I think about what Lucas said on the phone, there's a lot to think about. Did he choose to use the reason of a broken bone just because his cousin is an orthopedic surgeon? I hailed a taxi on the roadside and went to the city hospital. Coincidentally, when I was standing in front of the door of Lucas' cousin's office, I heard their conversation through the crack of the slightly ajar door. I helped you make up this lie, and I won't be able to look at my younger siblings properly in the future. This is what my cousin said. It's really no big deal, don't think too much about it. Lucas, on the other hand, seemed very calm. Look at you, you've missed the wedding 4 times already just so you don't have to get married. If it were anyone else, they would have been suspected a long time ago. You really take advantage of your sister-in-law's trust in you. I'm not saying I can't think of a better way, am I? Actually, I'm a bit confused. You and Emily obviously love each other, and your parents have accepted her. There's no interference from a third party, and there are no financial problems, so why can't you get married? Why did you flinch as soon as you got your license? Lucas sighed impatiently. I want to know what's going on too. Why are you afraid to take the next step? I remember when we first started dating, I thought that we would get married one day. Now that the day has come, I'm a little scared. I think marriage is a very serious matter. It represents commitment, responsibility, and a kind of bondage. The thought of being restricted by this bondage in the future makes me feel a little stressed. Cousin, that's really exaggerated. Your life with Emily is no different from married life. The only difference is a piece of paper. That piece of paper is not just any piece of paper. It is something that restricts my freedom. Even if you get married, Emily will not restrict your freedom. Overall, I am not ready for marriage yet. If you really aren't ready, you can have a good talk with Emily. I'm sure she will understand. Breaking a promise over and over again is really no big deal, but I can't bring myself to say that because I know how much she wants to get married. Ever since her parents died, her desire to have a family has become particularly strong. I don't want to disappoint her or hurt her feelings. But if you repeatedly fail to keep your promises, won't she be disappointed? Isn't that deceiving her? If you really don't plan to get married, just break up with her and don't waste her youth. Break up? How could I? I won't break up. Lucas's voice rose, his tone very firm. I love Emily and I will always be with her. You just said you didn't want to get married, right? My cousin sneered, and said, I never knew you had the potential to be a scumbag. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing as I stood outside the door. That afternoon, I didn't go back to the office. I had already taken leave, and there was no way I could work properly. I just wandered along the road, and stumbled into a park next to the hospital. As I sat on a bench, a voice came from next to me. Little girl, what's wrong? Are you unhappy? I turned around and saw an unfamiliar auntie in a hospital gown who didn't look well. I asked her, Auntie, why are you here alone? Where's your family? I think it's good to have family members with you when you're sick. I don't have any family. The auntie answered bluntly. Huh? I'm sorry. I thought the auntie's relatives had passed away and mentioning this would make her sad. Unexpectedly, the auntie smiled and said, "I've never been married and I don't have any children. Usually I live in a nursing home, but recently I had a relapse, so I came to the hospital for surgery. The nursing home had arranged for someone to stay with me in the hospital, but I refused. After all, it's not a big deal, I can still take care of myself." Perhaps I showed too much sympathy, and my aunt was a little upset. "What's wrong? Do you think I'm pitiful? Alone and feeling helpless?" I quickly shook my head and said, "No, that's not what I meant, Auntie. I understand what you mean, and actually, that's what you're thinking. But I want to tell you that I chose to remain single for my whole life and I've never regretted it. My life is much richer than that of many married people, and I feel that I've lived a worthwhile life." Under my curious gaze, the aunt proudly shared her past. She was an archaeology professor at a university, and in her youth, she devoted all her energy to her work. After retiring, she started traveling, and traveled all over the beautiful mountains and rivers of her homeland. "I feel very content in this life," finally, my aunt said. "But, don't you feel a little sorry for not having a family?" I asked bluntly. "No family?" My aunt argued loudly. "I have a family. Where I am is my home." It seemed as if a strange force had struck my heart hard, and I froze for a moment. "Where I am is home." This sentence kept repeating in my head. My habitual thinking was broken, and suddenly I felt like I understood. The aunt seemed to read my thoughts. She stood up and gave a gentle smile. "Little girl, if you always rely on others for your sense of security, you will never get the kind of peace you want." As I left, she gently stroked my head. "You create your own home." I kept thinking on the way home from the park. I think I understand what the aunt meant. To be honest, Lucas is really good to me. Apart from not wanting to get married, there really aren't any problems. After 2 hours, I finally convinced myself. It seems like it's not bad to be in a relationship without getting married. No, it's even better. You can enjoy the intimacy without having to bear the responsibilities that come with marriage. We can stay in love forever and keep things fresh. If one day we get bored, we can just turn around and walk away without having to deal with the legal hassles. The more I think about it, the more I feel that not getting married is even better. Like Lucas said, marriage is like a cage. I never understood why people wanted to get married. Lucas is so clever. I spent 2 hours thinking about it and I've finally decided that I won't get married. Lucas went home after eating dinner alone. His cousin saw him to the door and then turned around without daring to look at me. There was no need for him to be nervous. I didn't blame him at all. Like Lucas's mother, they didn't want to deceive me, but they couldn't resist Lucas's pleas. Compared to me, Lucas does have a closer relationship with them. There are good reasons for choosing to help Lucas. Seeing that Lucas had thick gauze wrapped around his foot, I didn't mention it directly. "Does it hurt?" I pretended to be concerned and asked in line with his performance. "It's not a big deal, just rest for a few days." I helped him onto the sofa and poured him a cup of hot water. After drinking the water, Lucas looked at me, and the familiar look of guilt reappeared on his face. "I'm sorry, Emily, it's all because I'm unlucky and I keep having these accidents." I held his hand and reassured him that it wasn't your problem, but this is the 4th time. I also want to say that I haven't been able to get a marriage license for 4 times, so I don't think this year is a good time to get married. Maybe we should try again next year. We can go to the temple and burn some incense to pray for a smooth marriage. I saw the relief in his eyes for a moment. After a while, he pinched my nose gently and teased me, saying, "I didn't realize you were quite superstitious. I'd rather believe in it." Without the pressure of getting married, Lucas is obviously much happier. He even likes to hum a song while brushing his teeth. Looking back, he put on a forced smile every day a while ago, and it feels very different now. In fact, getting married really made him very difficult. I figured it out now. Just relax, life is short, enjoy the moment. Why make things difficult for yourself? The New Year's holiday is almost here, and my best friend called to ask if I wanted to go hiking together. I immediately said yes. The night before the holiday, I was in my bedroom packing. Lucas pushed open the door and walked in. He said, "Let's go to my parents' house for lunch tomorrow at noon, and then go to my cousin's house for a barbecue in the afternoon. She just moved into a new house, and my siblings and I plan to go help her get settled in." In the past, I spent the holidays with Lucas at his family's house, and then we would go to his relatives' houses or to friends' parties. Now that we're not getting married, I don't want to spend the holidays like that anymore. Formally, I'm just his girlfriend, and that doesn't feel quite right. Before, I thought we'd get married soon, because we're always going to be family. His family is my family, and his relatives are my relatives. I'm involved in his life because I'm his fiancé. But now that marriage seems so far away, I don't feel as justified as I once did. I'm thinking of trying to keep a low profile in his social circle in the future. I zip up my backpack. Tomorrow I'm going hiking with Mia in the next town. Hiking? Lucas is surprised. When did you make the plan? How come I didn't know about it? We only made the plan yesterday, so I didn't have time to tell you. Just the two of you? And Sophia? The three of us. Mia and Sophia were my classmates at university. After graduation, we stayed in the same city and kept in touch. We get together occasionally. Oh, since you've made a plan, it's settled then. I had a great time on the hike. We encouraged each other along the way and finally reached the summit. It felt great to see the beautiful scenery. After descending, we didn't go straight home, but stayed in the town at the foot of the mountain for 2 days. We enjoyed the food, the scenery, and chatting with my sisters. It was a real treat to steal some time for ourselves. I felt so relaxed and carefree. I don't think I've felt like that for a long time. On the way home, I was still a little reluctant to leave, and I kept thinking about the good times we had. The two of them and I agreed that we should arrange more trips like this in the future. When I got home, I was greeted by Lucas's hug as soon as I entered the door. He held me tightly in his arms, his head buried in my neck. His voice was low and sweet, and he said, "Baby, I've missed you so much." I couldn't help but laugh. I felt a little ridiculous. After all, we had only been apart for 3 days. He snorted, "It feels like 3 years when you're apart for a day." Then he picked me up and carried me quickly to the bedroom. Lying on the bed, Lucas's kisses came fast and furious. I hadn't seen him this eager in a long time. Is this what they mean by absence makes the heart grow fonder? Half a month later, Lucas's grandfather was celebrating his 75th birthday. After work that day, he invited me to go shopping for a present. We spent over an hour in the mall, but still hadn't decided what to buy. The main reason was that Lucas didn't have a clue. He hadn't thought about what to buy before. Later, we were a bit tired from walking, so I suggested that we buy a massage chair. Lucas suddenly stopped and looked straight at me, which made me feel a bit uncomfortable. Then he asked, "Is something on your mind?" I said no. "Then why were you distracted?" I mentioned when I entered the mall just now that my cousin bought a massage chair for my grandfather as a gift. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Now I feel a bit awkward, as if my evasiveness has been noticed. Emily, are you having any problems at work? I always feel that something is wrong with you lately. Lucas hesitated for a moment before asking me. I answered sheepishly that no, everything was fine. Last year, when Grandma's birthday came around, you were very enthusiastic. I just feel like you've changed this year. Hearing him say that, I suddenly remembered. Last year, when Lucas's grandmother's birthday came around, he said he wanted to take me to the birthday party, and I was so excited. When it came to choosing a gift, I was even more enthusiastic than he was. I looked online for gifts suitable for the elderly, and I even asked Lucas about his grandmother's personality and hobbies. After a few days of research, I finally chose a gift that was especially suitable. At the birthday party, Lucas and I presented the gift together, and I was so happy to see his grandmother's surprised face. His grandparents praised us, saying that we had put a lot of thought into it and that the gift was just what they wanted. At that moment, I felt so happy to be acknowledged. Being able to help Lucas made me happier than anything else. I also realized that I hadn't really given much thought to the gift for my grandfather this year. Maybe it's because Grandma is a woman, so I'm especially concerned about her. Please take care of Grandpa's gift. Later, when we were shopping and it was almost closing time, Lucas decided to buy Grandpa a multifunctional mattress. He asked me what I thought of the idea. I said it was great. He gave a small smile, which felt a little dry. A few days before Grandpa's birthday party, I started to feel nervous. Nervous about what excuse to find. I didn't want to go to the party. The thought of meeting all his relatives and friends, and the older ones who always ask when I'm getting married, makes me feel very stressed. I don't like crowds anyway, and I try to avoid them whenever possible. In the past, I always felt that I would become his wife one day, and I would have to deal with his relatives and friends, so I just had to make the best of it. But now that I'm not going to get married, I don't have to be involved in a circle of friends anymore. Just as I'm racking my brains for an excuse, an opportunity suddenly arises. The supervisor said that someone from our department needed to go on a business trip to the next city over at the weekend, but no one responded. It was obvious that no one wanted to work overtime at the weekend. Only I brightened up and raised my hand. Supervisor, choose me. So, the night before Grandpa's birthday banquet, I looked at Lucas and said with some guilt, "Sorry, I can't go to Grandpa's birthday banquet with you tomorrow." "Why should I go? The company told me to go on a business trip to the next city over." "Do I really have to go? Can't we skip it? Or can someone else do it?" "Tell you what, ask your colleagues if anyone would like to do it for you. Name your price, I'll pay." "Don't be ridiculous, my name has already been put on the list for the conference and the group." Lucas is obviously unhappy. He blinks and leans his head against my shoulder. "I feel like you've been really busy lately, and you don't have as much time for me as you used to. It's my fault, really. When I'm not busy anymore, I will definitely spend more time with you." I casually said something comforting, and I myself found it incredible. "Okay, I will keep my promise." Lucas believed what I said, and there was a hint of grievance in his tone. The moment I looked up, I clearly saw my own face in the TV screen. The guilt and self-blame in my eyes were exactly the same as the expression on Lucas' face when he missed our appointment to get the certificate in the first place. Spring Festival was approaching, and I received a call from my aunt. She asked me, "Emily, do you want to come and visit Auntie for Chinese New Year?" Auntie's voice was very gentle. I said, "Yes, Auntie." "Really? Emily, you really said yes?" I could hear how excited Auntie was in her voice. "We have 3 days off, I'll book the flight later." "Okay, Auntie will go and clean your room now. You don't need to bring too many clothes, Auntie has prepared some for you." "Well, thank you, Auntie." Aunt talked to me a lot more, telling me about the weather and customs over there, as well as the interesting places to visit. Hearing her describe them one after the other, I felt a warm feeling in my heart. I could completely understand Aunt's excitement. Over the years, Aunt had invited me to spend the Chinese New Year with her every year, but I had never gone. That's because I always spent the holiday with Lucas and his family. Aunt lives in Australia, and since we didn't have much contact when we were growing up, our relationship wasn't that close. So, I was a little nervous when she invited me so enthusiastically, but I forgot that Aunt is the only relative I have in the world. My mother was an orphan and didn't have any relatives there. My father has one younger sister, who is Aunt. Aunt went to university in Australia and stayed to work. Then she got married and had children, and has lived there ever since. I didn't see Aunt much when I was little, but every time she came back, she always brought me lots of presents. I have the impression that she actually likes me. The infrequent meetings make it difficult for us to maintain a close relationship. After my parents died, my aunt was the only living relative I had left. In fact, I still miss her a lot. I really long for her love. I don't want to be a coward anymore. I want to give my aunt a big hug and tell her face to face that I love her very much. When we got home for dinner, Lucas started talking about the plans for the Spring Festival. We always spend Chinese New Year with my uncle's family, but this year my little cousin really wants to go skiing in Switzerland. She's the youngest, so we have to accommodate her. After the family dinner, we left on the first day of the new year. "Give me your passport for a second," my dad asked his assistant to book our tickets. I put down my chopsticks and gently pursed my lips. "Lucas, I'm not going with you guys. This Chinese New Year, I want to go to Australia to see Auntie." "Why?" Lucas suddenly asked loudly. "Haven't we always spent Chinese New Year with your family?" "But I haven't seen my aunt for years. She's the only family I have left, and I miss her. Why don't we skip this trip and I'll go see her with you next time we have a holiday? I already promised my aunt, and your family doesn't need me to go out and have fun together." "Who says I'm needed? What's the point if I'm not there?" Lucas gently tousled my hair and said in a slightly coquettish way, "You can spend more time with your parents and relatives. It's not often that we all get together, so we should cherish it." Seeing my firm attitude, Lucas stopped persuading me to give up spending time with my family and could only accept it silently. On the 26th day of the 12th lunar month, I boarded the plane to Australia. Lucas saw me off at the airport. Before he left, he gave me a tight hug, and I pushed him a few times before he let go. I kept looking back as I left, acting like I was reluctant to go. While waiting for the plane, I sent him a text message, calling him a drama queen. He said seriously that he wasn't acting, and that all his feelings were genuine. I stayed in Australia for half a month. Auntie's family was especially nice to me, and they took me everywhere. I felt the warmth of family again, which I hadn't felt for a long time. Although Lucas's family was also very nice to me, it was somehow different. When I went to Lucas's house, his parents always treated me warmly and prepared a big, sumptuous meal with lots of fruit and snacks. But at Aunt's house, I only had one meal, and after she noticed that I didn't like pepper, she never used it in the food she cooked for me again. What really touched me was that Aunt had also prepared bed sheets and a quilt cover with a pretty lily pattern on them. This is my favorite flower since I was little. Although Aunt had only met me a few times, she had always remembered my preferences. After spending a few days with Aunt, our relationship became very close, and I became more and more relaxed in her presence. I could take off my shoes in front of her, sit cross-legged on the sofa, and play checkers with my little cousin. After losing a game, we would stick notes on each other. But in front of Lucas's parents, I never dared to be so casual. I was afraid that they would think I had no upbringing and privately say that I was impolite. So, real family is still very special. While I was in Australia, Lucas would send me a video call every day and keep me updated via WeChat. He told me where he went every day and what he did, but the most we talked about were his complaints. He complained that I wasn't by his side, that he missed me a lot and that he wasn't having fun. I never knew that he was actually such a clingy person. When I saw Lucas at the airport on the day I returned home, I was so surprised that I almost fell over. "I thought you weren't due back for a week." Lucas had told me before that they had been to other places in Europe after leaving Switzerland, and were planning to come home a week later. I didn't think it was interesting, and as I didn't have my wife with me, I came back early. He said this as he picked me up. Do you feel a bit fatter? He frowned. Because Auntie took such good care of me. You mean I didn't take good care of you? You said it yourself. On the way home, Lucas held the steering wheel with one hand and kept holding my hand with the other. He said with a hint of grievance, promise me you won't leave me alone for so long in the future, okay? It's only been half a month. Is that all it's been? I've been thinking about you every day. You haven't been thinking about me? That's disappointing. In the following days, Lucas was inseparable from me every day. Even when I went shopping with my best friend, he insisted on tagging along. I was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief when the work finally started. On the first day of work, the director brought a bright and handsome young man to me. Emily, this is Ethan, please take care of him. The young man was polite and had a bright smile. Hello Emily, you can call me Ethan. I hope we can get along well. Ethan, the newcomer, was really easy to get along with. He was more sensible than the previous newcomers I had brought along, and he was also very hardworking. Every morning, he arrives at the office half an hour before work starts and cleans my desk really well. He also puts a cup of iced Americano on my desk, and every few days, he replaces the flowers in the vase on the windowsill with fresh ones. If Ethan only knew a few tricks, I wouldn't think he was amazing. But he is really good at his job and is truly excellent. He graduated from a prestigious university, is intelligent and has a good understanding of things. He is the most capable newcomer I have ever seen. He can complete every task assigned to him. Who wouldn't like such a smart, hard-working, and sensible apprentice? Ethan deserves at least half the credit for the completion of this new project. When I reported the results, I also included his name. The director told me that Ethan has not yet been converted, and according to the rules, he is not eligible for a commission. This made me feel quite guilty, as if I was taking advantage of him. Towards the end of the day, I told Ethan that I would treat him to dinner. This was a small consolation. Ethan gave his trademark sunny smile, showing off his white teeth. Thanks, Emily. To avoid causing Ethan any unnecessary worry, I tried to explain to him as clearly as possible why he would not be receiving a commission this time. Unexpectedly, he didn't take it to heart at all and told me directly that the company had rules and that he had known about it for a long time. Then why do you still work so hard and stay late every day to help me out? I said. I also want to learn more, so of course I have to seize this great opportunity. He also comforted me, saying, Emily, don't feel burdened. I've learned a lot by following you this time. I haven't even paid for my tuition yet, so I've really got a bargain. I couldn't help but exclaim, do young people nowadays really understand human nature so well? After dinner, Ethan drove me home. He parked the car in front of the building and got out early, opening the door for me like a gentleman. I was wearing high heels and was a little unsteady, so he quickly reached out to support me. Who are you? A voice I knew very well suddenly came to my ears. I looked up and saw Lucas striding over, pushing Ethan away. Are you okay? I grabbed his arm. He said he was fine, Emily. He gave me a smile. What's going on? I'm his boyfriend. Keep your girlfriend away from me. Lucas gave me a nudge and led me away. I struggled and asked Lucas, what the hell are you doing? Am I crazy? This guy is stealing my man, and you're telling me to swallow my anger? What are you talking about? He's my colleague and the new guy I'm mentoring, but the way he looks at you is not right. After all, he's a man too. Don't I know it? Don't be ridiculous. Ethan is 4 years younger than me. It's embarrassing to be jealous of this. So you're just his boyfriend, you're not married yet, right? Ethan suddenly said. What do you mean by that? Lucas looked at him. I won't do anything to hurt someone's family, that's immoral. But since Emily hasn't married yet, then I have a chance to fight for her, Ethan said casually. I suddenly turned my head and really wanted to cover his mouth. Ethan, what are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense, Emily, I really like you. Starting today, I'm going to woo you. Lucas was a little impatient, nodding his head nonstop. Did you see that? What did I say? I knew this guy didn't mean well. Ethan, I'll take what you said today as a joke, so you can go back first, I said, and pulled Lucas away. Tomorrow, you can just quit. In the elevator, Lucas was silent the whole time, but then he suddenly spoke. Absolutely not. I refused outright. I love my job very much and have put a lot of effort into it, and he knows that very well. Do you want me to watch you spend every day with that person? Lucas's eyes were red. Are you trying to make me unable to bear it? Tomorrow I plan to tell the director that I will no longer take him and that he should go with Team 2. That's the best I can promise. I never thought Ethan would have feelings for me. To avoid any awkwardness at work in the future, I had to keep my distance from him. I'm not interested in him, and I won't let him interfere with my work. Hearing me say this, Lucas had no choice but to back down. He was just angry and said he wanted me to resign, but he knew in his heart that I would never actually resign. That night, Lucas was intimate with me like a hungry person. Afterwards, he leaned over me, breathing heavily, and said, "Let's get married." I held onto the quilt tightly, and my hand didn't move for a long time, but recently, there's been a lot going on at work, and the director said I couldn't take any time off for a month. Oh, let's talk about it later. Lucas lay down next to me. I could feel that he had also relaxed a little during the night. The next day, Ethan came to me in a bad mood after learning that he was going to be transferred. He said, "Emily, I'm not going to give up on you." I replied, "I don't want to have a relationship in the office." I smiled politely at him. Our company doesn't have such a rule. I understand that, it's just that I don't want to mix my work with my personal life. Does that mean that if I leave the company, you'll be willing to accept me? His eyes were full of expectation. I shook my head to indicate that I wouldn't. Why? In my heart, you're just my little brother, and I don't like you. Ethan turned away sadly. Uncle got a promotion and became the head of the Asia-Pacific region for the multinational company he worked for. Aunt and her family decided to return to their home country and settle there. Since it would take some time to buy a house and do the renovations, I invited Aunt and her family to stay with me. I moved back into the villa where my parents had lived and hired someone to clean it. Lucas was in a bad mood for a few days because of this. On the day I left, he drove me but didn't say anything the whole way. When we arrived at the villa, I got out of the car to get my luggage, but he suddenly grabbed my arm. "How long do you plan to stay here?" I frowned and asked, "What here? This is my home. So when are you and Aunt going to move out?" "What do you mean?" "In my country, Aunt only has me as a relative, so it's only natural that we look after each other." He blinked, looking a little hurt, "But I really don't want to be apart from you for too long. Aunt's house hasn't been decided yet, and the back needs to be renovated, which will take at least a few months." "That's too long." "But I can't just leave them and go and live with you." "Why not? We're a couple. It's normal for us to live together." "Can your aunt's family live here alone?" But I was thinking, forget it, after all, we're not married yet, and with my family close by, there's no reason for me not to live in my own home. "Why don't we get married?" he said loudly. "Getting married is not that simple. Do you remember? Last year we just went through the formalities, but it didn't work out on 4 occasions. Lucas hesitated for a moment, wanting to say something but stopping himself. Perhaps he hadn't realized that the excuse he had used before was now being used by me. When my aunt came to visit, I mentioned that I had a steady boyfriend, but that I wasn't thinking about getting married yet. So when Lucas visited my aunt, she didn't ask him about marriage, as parents usually do. Lucas felt relieved. He felt that his aunt, who had lived abroad and was very open-minded, didn't feel the need to interfere too much in the marriage of young people. I thought she would ask when we were getting married, but she didn't even mention it. I nodded and assured you that Auntie would not pressure us in this regard. "Emily." "Oh? I feel that you are different." "How are you different?" "I can't put it into words, but I always feel that you are getting further and further away from me. Before, I felt like you belonged to me, but now I feel like I'm losing you." "Don't be silly, I'm right here with you. If only we were married, then we could live together openly and your aunt wouldn't find any more excuses to make you move out." Although Ethan and I no longer work in the same office, he still finds every opportunity to hang around me. His advances are obvious and the whole company knows about it. It's a bit annoying. Since I moved back home and stopped living with Lucas, Ethan's behavior has become even more obvious. On weekends, he brings flowers directly to my house and asks me out. When my aunt asked him about it, he admitted that he was my suitor. Lucas was furious when he found out. "Get married, we must get married." He was furious. But when it came time to go to the registry office again, I couldn't make it. It was either work or life. Every time we made an appointment to go to the civil affairs office, I always had an unavoidable reason to cancel. When I missed our 3rd appointment, Lucas seemed to sense something. "Emily, do you not want to marry me?" "Huh? Of course not." I denied it a little hesitantly. "But last year was not like this. Every time we went to get married, you were so excited. Now you don't seem to be so interested in getting married. You know, there is a time limit on the desire for something, and after that period, the impulse subsides. Does that mean you no longer look forward to our wedding now?" "It sounds like it." Lucas's laugh sounded even worse than his crying, and he asked with a trembling voice, "Don't you love me anymore?" I replied, "I still love you, but I think the way we get along is fine, and there is no need to tie us together with marriage." Lucas glared at me and asked incredulously, "You actually think that marrying me is a constraint?" His questioning tone made me feel a little uncomfortable. "Don't put the blame on me, okay? Isn't this what you want? What are you trying to say? Why didn't we get a certificate 4 times last year?" "Lucas, I trust you, but I'm not stupid." Do you know everything?" His eyes began to flicker, looking a little uncomfortable. "I heard your conversation with your cousin in the hospital." "Emily, listen to me." He grabbed my arm, and I was just a little confused. "I have always loved you, and that has never changed. I understand your thoughts, so I didn't ask you. You said you didn't want to get married, and I respected your decision. In order to accommodate you, I convinced myself to accept the idea of just dating without marriage. Now I'm used to this state, but you say you want to get married? I'm sorry, He covers his face in pain, his heart aching. The company has opened a new branch in the next city, and someone is needed to develop the market there. This is a good opportunity for development. On the one hand, I want to exercise myself, and on the other hand, I want to get away from Ethan's overzealous pursuit. So I actively applied for this assignment with the company. After the application was successful, I told Lucas the news. He finds it hard to believe that you are actually going to the next city for 2 years. What about us? Just think of it as a long-distance relationship. I said, how can you be so casual about this? He grabbed my clothes, his anger obvious. I'm not forcing you to wait for me, we're not married, we can separate at any time. I don't want to separate. He suddenly hugged me very tightly, as if he wanted to keep me by his side forever. Emily, if you say you want to break up again, I'm not sure I can stay calm. This is a rare opportunity, I don't want to miss it. But in 2 years, no one can be sure if their hearts will change. But I believe I won't. I definitely won't change my mind. He said with gritted teeth, you're ambitious, and I respect that. It's only been 2 years. Are we not ready yet? That day when he saw me off at the high-speed rail station, he gave a bitter smile. I finally understood what it meant to reap what you sow. How do I put this? If I hadn't been so torn up last year and hadn't thought of every way to avoid getting a marriage certificate, you would have already been my wife. Then I could have pouted at you and begged you to stay by my side. Now I can understand what you were thinking last year. It's not bad to just fall in love without getting married. This is really bad. Lucas took my hand. I really want a clear relationship now. It's too late. You've caused this yourself. Emily, I will abide by the rules and absolutely not get close to other women. You promise me too that you won't fall in love with someone else, okay? In the end, his tone had become pleading. Lucas, all I can say is that I still love you, but I don't know what the future will bring, so I can't give you any guarantees. You really are breaking my heart. He squeezed my face, but that's okay. I'll come and see you every week and tell everyone how I feel about you, and see who dares to get close to you. I waved to him and turned to go to the waiting room. At 27 years old, I gave up a stable life to start my own business in a strange city. I don't know if I will regret today's decision in the future. But right now, I know for sure that I will never regret it. Following your heart and trusting your instincts is always the best choice.